Okay, for one, how did we miss, because it came out like 7 days ago, how did we miss like a big gameplay trailer for Final Fantasy VII Afterbirth?
I know. I think I put it out of my mind because it was one of those games that was just so far away that I didn't want to keep doing that to myself. I'm like, you know, I haven't even played Intergrade or whatever
I
the
know.
Yuffie experience, and I need to go do that before this game comes out, which we have some time. But yeah, it's like I have not been paying attention to the Final Fantasy news at
We're
all.
we're trash fans and bad podcasters, I think.
Or we're over 30. I think
Yeah, I
either
know.
one of the, I mean, hey,
There's been way too much stuff going on in the gaming world, I think.
well, yeah, and especially with Final Fantasy, because Square Enix listened to our episode last week and listened to us trashing them
No, yeah,
about
no, no, yeah.
so they're like, "Oh, we have to put something out."
Ah,
The Nerding Grounds is destroying us on TikTok right now.
yeah.
It's embarrassing.
I I'm so I mean I'll just say I'm excited, right? I mean for one, obviously the Final Fantasy VII remake part 1 I guess just remake that was better than I ever expected, right?
For
And
very, very interesting reasons, I would say. It wasn't like, it was a format that on paper I might have disliked,
oh yeah.
but in practice it was handled very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. You could tell it was handled with with the utmost care, right? And
Joie de vivre.
yes, whatever that means.
I don't know. It's just a French word that can be applied to anything with coolness factor or something.
Oh, okay,
I
cool.
don't know.
Cool.
I
I
am watching the trailer in the background, so.
oh, okay. So
Oh,
this
cool.
yeah, it just looks like it's shaping up to be again maybe everything we wanted out of like the second part, right? Like I think it looks like it's going to be potentially massive. They did say it is 1-to-1, like the map is 1-to-1, and you can go all the places that you did before. And
Look at that vehicle.
yeah,
Whoa. Oh, clouds on a Segway.
which is definitely the Doom buggy. I was like, what's with the vehicle? And I was like, oh yeah, the Doom buggy. Nice.
Why is Cloud on a Segway?
I don't know. Um,
Those aren't even cool anymore. They were never cool, but they're definitely not cool now.
no, I don't know.
That's just Square Enix being out of touch.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's I big cities, you got to get around somehow. It looks like I mean, even you're seeing like parts of Juno and
Yeah.
or yeah. Uh that's what it's called, right?
I
Or am
think
I
were you talk, are you talking Coast del Sol or the different area? You're talking about the militaristic
the cannon
with the big cannon. Yeah, I
giant
think that's
cannon.
Juno, where you have to go and do the military stepping and
Yeah.
all those weird mini games. And then, of course, we got the Golden Saucer here with more amazing dancing, which I'm
Yeah.
extremely excited for.
And all the mini games, right? Or at
Yeah.
least the two that matter. Well, the one that matters, which is like the bike one, but I mean the
Yeah,
submarine
yeah.
thing's pretty cool. I wonder how they'll do that. But yeah, it's like there. I'm like, holy
It's further evidence that this project is in the interest of fully realizing what we all pictured Final Fantasy VII as back
yeah,
in the PlayStation. Oh, there's Vincent popping out of a coffin.
I know.
Wonderful.
Lucrezia.
And I did see that article that said there was over 100 hours, or there was about 100-hour playtime considering all the side stuff. And that's the first time in a very long time that hasn't bothered me because it told me that this game it's not going to cut things out in an effort to,
Yeah.
I don't know, deliver a AAA experience that takes away the content. Like the way that Final Fantasy 16 is kind of formatted is that very sometimes overly streamlined to where
Yeah.
it feels on rails, even though you could go wherever you want at any time. It's still here are where you can do the side quests and whatnot. But you're not really gonna go and have your own adventure and go in a direction that you want to go to discover
Yeah,
secrets.
and that doesn't seem to be the case at all here.
Mm-mm.
Like one bit. And I'm very excited about that. And even if so some content creators got access to a demo version of the game and were able to kind of play and just watch some of that footage. Even if we're talking about things being like subzones, which it doesn't really look like that's going to be the case. It looks like just way more open.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's just a lot more things going on in the background, and it definitely seems like, it's all explorable. Um, but the one little area that they're just kind of in, which is like the area right before Juno in the demo,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like dense, you know? There's a lot of
Does.
content just packed in that little area, and it doesn't seem bland at all. And that was one of the things that was kind of concerned me about 16. It's like looking at, like, even if if the zones are smaller, you know, then they should be more alive, I feel like. Um
Yeah.
and definitely more diverse. But
And I mean, they even felt that way in the original. There
right.
was a liveliness to Costa del Sol and different places like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do want, again, them to not feel like, boxed off
Yeah.
rooms that are just meant to look large, and you want to have a feeling that you're actually exploring a big open world map, because not open world necessarily, but a big map where
Yeah.
go to the map and you run around. Then you go to the towns
So
and the small
yeah.
spaces. I'm okay with
All
that.
those spaces, yeah. It seems like, I mean, this is potentially, we don't know yet, but potentially going to be open world, and every little like subzone area um is there's just a lot of things to do in that particular area. So yeah, I mean the game's going to be massive, which is a lot of content there, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, multiple playable characters are hanging out here. We got Red 13. We still have Barrett, Tifa, Cloud, Aerith. I imagine this game is going to include everyone.
Yeah.
If or maybe not though, because like Kate Sith is featured in.
Oh no, they show Kate Sith
Oh
doing
yeah,
combat and everything.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I mean, Yuffie's already been a playable character in the
Yeah.
DLC, so I'm sure she'll show up
Be
again.
in there.
Like,
Yeah.
are they going to keep someone like Sid backed off until some third game? Because Vincent's also showing up here. I don't know.
Uh,
I feel like
when do you
everybody.
get Sid? You know?
I don't remember him being the last one. I,
No.
I remember maybe Vincent being but Vincent's
Well,
also
Vincent's like a
optional.
optional, like
Yeah, and
Yuffie.
so you can really go get him now or later.
Right.
He's just doing a Dracula in Yield Haunted Mansion. Um, I don't know. Yeah,
That's a
it'd
good
be
question. I mean, they don't need to hold off on any of the characters for
they
the
don't
third
need
one.
to, but it seems like there's more than enough here to keep you busy. I just wouldn't want somebody to be excluded from the story when they're supposed to be there, because you do get this feeling that you are traveling with a pretty large group, and while you're off fighting and doing this, they're off in their subgroup doing whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, they're opening it up in a way that I really, really appreciate.
Yeah.
So I'm getting hype
Yeah.
and getting hype.
Even just a little bit that we've seen, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, like I'm way more excited about this than and that's not to say that I don't want to play Final Fantasy 16. I can see definitely it's probably going to be like the story elements and stuff like that, and maybe a little bit of the combat that make 16 a at least a decent Final Fantasy game. Um
Yeah, yeah.
but well, yeah, I mean, actually, the stuff that I've seen, it's like this is crazy, right? It's like playing a movie, and it's a spectacle for sure. But this
My
is like
yeah.
this is Final
This is the
Fantasy
game that has
RPG. Yeah.
been we've been waiting for. I'll say, not to digress too much, but 16, where I am now, well, one, it's I'm not playing it currently because I've been playing other stuff and I had to take a break from 16. I The pacing really got to me because I'm, you know, I don't know, maybe 60 hours in, and I've unlocked all but one icon. Um, the last one definitely being like close to when I get that last icon, that's going to be like right before the end of the game, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
So the problem is the pacing is because you'll get out of this crazy, incredible, world splitting moment, and then you'll go back and you'll do your talking and talking, and then you'll get these side quests that are, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They are literally just go here and kill this, go here and
Right.
kill that. And there's so much nuance missing from the side quest design. At first, it's fine. At first, it's like, oh, I get to go talk to these interesting characters and follow these subplots. But then at the end, it's just like, get out of the way. I don't need to go fight these three dogs to get you a hide that you need to finish binding books back at the base. Like, stop. I'm already invested in where the story is going, and you were just slowing me down. And they don't feel optional. They feel like if you don't do them now, they're going to go away the next time you jump to another story thing. And so my brain's all completionist about it, and yeah, it's a good game, but it gets in its own way is
Right.
my summation.
Yeah, and I don't know. I will have to play it. Like looking
Kind of like
at
Starfield.
yeah. The with if we look at something like Final Fantasy VII remake, the first part,
Hmm.
similar sort of like action combat, and way more of what I think that I want without playing 16, of course, from like a modern Square
That
Enix
yeah.
title or a modern Final Fantasy title. Like for me, that makes sense, and it works, right? It's kind of just like, okay, well, it's for the most part an action game. I guess it's more Kingdom Hearts like, but then I used my ATB for like my actions
There's
to
still
do
a
things.
tactical element to it. I've said
Yeah,
it before on here. That is my new standard for RPG combat. That
right,
s- perfectly blends both things that I want. Because I'll play a turn based. I still enjoy it. I'm playing Sea of Stars right now. There's a little more engagement with the timing stuff, but I still enjoy that idea of turn based and just being able to casually do that.
right,
But Seven brought this element of I still get to have control over these characters in a fun and kinetic way, but then I get to pause when I need to pause and
right.
tactically think out what I'm using and using my skills and combining skills with other people's skills. And that to me is just that's a way to keep me engaged in your combat system 100 hours.
And
That's how
now
bad.
apparently their combat looks like it's going to be a little crazy, but of course it is. We got to look at the director for that. There's like synergy attacks now and attacks that can be done like outside of ATB.
Mm-hmm.
Just certain things. I don't really know what those were. You no longer need like the dodge or parry materia. You can just do that.
That's
Um,
true.
all kinds of stuff.
You're also forgetting one of the most important additions with rideable chocobo.
Yeah, oh, yeah. At least in the demo version, kind of like right off the bat,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
give you a chocobo, right?
Well,
Also,
as they should.
the opening sequence is like Sephiroth, Tifa, and Cloud going up the Mako reactor.
Mm-hmm.
Like the flashback scene, you totally play as Sephiroth.
I saw
And
that.
yeah, he's
I
like in
was
your
just like,
party.
yep, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
And
something
if
that
that is,
I
yeah,
think we've
that's
always wanted to do.
exactly, literally. Of
I love playing as genocidal maniacs. It's my
Yeah,
favorite
of
thing.
course, don't we
Um,
all?
yeah, yeah. Genova. Um, I hope it's Lance Bass. I don't think it is. I think we've realized last time that they didn't go back to the in sync well for voice acting, which is always a mistake, in my opinion.
True.
Awesome. Well, you can expect us to continue to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because it's us, and that's what we do here. We talk about Final Fantasy ad nauseum
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I could keep talking about it. We've seen like 7 minutes of
absolutely,
footage, and yeah.
absolutely. But let's let it stew for a little bit. I want to chat about another game coming out. Before that, just real quick, welcome everybody to the Nerding Grounds podcast, where we talk about Final Fantasy ad nauseum, as someone mentioned previously. This is a weekly show. I am Quinn. This is Matt. Uh, like and subscribe down below. It would really help us out. Leave
Do it.
comments, send questions. We're on all the social medias. We're on TikTok. We're really looking for engagement these days because we're starting to get a little bit more people checking our content on a weekly basis, and that's great. Thank you everyone who's doing that and leaving questions on TikTok and all this stuff.
Actually, just
Uh,
enjoy
yeah,
all the comments and everything that people have been leaving so far. So
yeah.
thank you.
And if you haven't already, please go check out the retrospective, the new show that we're putting on our channel every 2 weeks. So that one's gonna skip a week just because it takes a little bit more effort, filming and editing wise. But we have an episode on Star Fox 64 out, and that's not a podcast. That is us playing through the game, and it's more of a clip show, you know, background, that kind of thing. And by the time this goes up, there will be a second episode on Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. And that one I'm really proud of. I think it's even better than the Star Fox one and a lot more streamlined. It's about 30 minutes versus like 50 minutes. So I think that's the format we're going to be chasing moving forward is, a nice 30-minute smaller chunk of a video. So yeah, thanks. Um, Moving on, I want to quickly mention that I have a long anticipated game coming up in October, and that is Spider-Man 2.
Ooh,
Yeah,
is that coming out in October?
it sure is.
I
And
feel like I
this,
just found out something was coming out in October, but I don't remember what that is at the moment.
I mean, there are just
I
a
feel
lot of
like
games right now.
yeah, it's a little ridiculous, especially since, a lot of them I've either been playing religiously or, I want to continue to play and play more. I,
Yeah.
I definitely could be the type of person that will like hot swap over to a different game pretty quickly or,
And therein lies the problem is the hot swapping. It's like I feel like I never get to sink my teeth into
yeah,
one thing enough. But I do know Spider-Man 2 will, that's October 20th, by the way. That's definitely going to be occupying my attention
yeah.
until I beat it because I absolutely love those games. But yes, in October we have Hellboy Web of Weird coming out on the 4th, which is that little roguelike beat 'em up thing.
Okay.
Detective Pikachu 2 on the 6th, Forza Motorsports 75. I don't know what number they're on now. October 10th. Assassin's Creed Mirage is the 12th. That's the
Ooh,
big return. Lords of the Fallen, not the Lords of the Fallen. October 13th. Sonic
big difference.
Superstars. Yes, big difference. That's a Souls-like guy. Sonic Superstars is coming out on October 17th. Spider-Man 2 is the 20th, as I just said. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I'm actually really looking forward to, is on October 20th. City Skyline, 24th. Alone in the Dark, 25th. Ghost Runner 2, 26th. And Alan Wake 2, another one I'm
Yeah,
actually looking forward to, is on the 27th. So, yes,
that's what it is.
October is freaking loaded. And then that's not even mentioning the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty DLC that's on the September 26th. So that's a few days from now. And then you got
And
Mortal Kombat 1, Payday, and people are still playing Starfield and
Payday already launched.
yeah, I think that one just came out.
And see, lost my train of thought.
I don't know, lots of
Uh,
games.
oh
Lots of games.
yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, the 2.0 patch dropped already too, which brings
Right.
about like new skill system and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah, you
pretty cool.
don't actually need the DLC to benefit from those updates. You still
Yep.
get all those things to the base game.
Yeah, which is pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah. I I think that's going to steal me away from the possibility of going back to Starfield. So,
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to just wait till the expansion and play through, or I did like a lot through my playthrough, so I don't really think there's too much more for me to do.
I started over, and so I'm
I was
probably
gonna say, should I start
10.
over? A
Yeah.
different character, maybe.
Well, you have to think they already did a ton of work to that game that you probably missed from beating the game before that. Like, there's been patch
Well,
upon patch.
yeah, and I played it somewhat recently, right?
Oh,
Whenever we were talking about it on
well, I
this
know
podcast, so it had to
last
been
year
like
was
like a year, yeah.
last year was like the big overhaul. Okay, so maybe you did
Yeah.
benefit from it.
Yeah, so after like it no longer ran like complete poop. So
I would say start a new file, and if you start to get tired of starting over, just go back to the other one. Just have that one ready to go. Because I mean, the um, the DLC is really just a separate zone from Night City. It's like maybe you cross the desert or something, and you go to that place.
oh,
So
okay.
you can kind of just do it whenever you want. And I'm sure it scales because everything in that game scales with your level.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Good idea. You're
it is.
smart. Maybe you should do some sort of like video game podcast thing.
Oh. Anyway, so Spider-Man is coming out. I'm definitely holding out on playing any big games until that releases because it's it's probably my favorite superhero game. I think it even like surpassed the Arkham series for me. It was just really well done. Story was incredible. It was one of my favorite Peter Parker's like renditions of Peter Parker. Counting movies, everything. I liked that Peter Parker. They did mess him up with the motion capture update thing, but I'm over it. It's fine. Also, Miles
Uh
Morales was an excellent game as well. And this one just looks like they're turning everything all the way up. Your black suit Spidey, Venom's going to be in the game. You have a whole, you know, list of new abilities and new enemies, and you're playing alongside Miles Morales. So I think there's a switch that goes back and forth now between the two Spider-Men. And an update I saw this morning is that there's like over 65 suits already confirmed. So they're
really.
just Insomniac just gets how to structure these games for fans of Spider-Man or whatever. They just put a lot of care into the detail, and I just think they're a great developer for that.
Uh they always have, right? At
Mm-hmm.
least as far as I can remember. I definitely need to play the series. I know that um they're not all on PC yet, but
I
I, I,
think they
I
are.
yeah, maybe. I
Two
don't know.
probably won't be, but I know
Yeah,
Spider-Man 1, and I think Miles Morales is on PC.
yeah, I think
I'll
so.
check. And Miles Morales, not, and I'm not recommending that anybody skip the first one because it's excellent, especially the story. Yeah, Miles Morales is on Steam,
Nice.
and that one's
That one I actually really want to play for sure.
yeah, that one. That game's definitely shorter, and it has a lower price tag for that reason. Um, but it doesn't feel like half a game or anything. It feels like a full game. It's just not as long and expansive as Marvel Spider-Man. And
Right.
you are playing as Miles Morales, so you do have a bunch of different abilities. It's just more of a streamlined adventure, I guess. So a lot of people gravitated toward that, especially since it was a PS5 launch and it was super pretty. But yeah, both those games are excellent. They just feel good to play.
Yeah.
But if I do have to air a concern, whenever I'm a Spider-Man fan, I always have been. Whenever Venom comes into the picture, it always feels like this could go great or this
Yeah.
could be
Go
really,
really, really bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason for that is because certain, um, creators, whether it be film or video games, don't always know how to handle their hero dipping his toe into the dark side. And
Right.
so, what could be a cool exploration of personality and identity and conscious turns into melodrama.
Turns
And
into Toby Maguire dancing stupidly down the street.
that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, that I don't think anything would dare to give that treatment again. But yeah, I mean there's just this space ripe with melodrama. It's like you got to
Right.
be edgy and you got to be dark and pissing off everybody in your life, and it's like, why couldn't we just have this as an exercise where the veteran Spider-Man is compromised and it opens up a really great opportunity for the rookie Spider-Man to show his capability and bring his mentor back from the dark side, and that if somebody can do that properly, it's Insomniac.
Yeah.
So we'll
Well, you
see.
already said that it had great writing to begin with, right?
It
So,
did.
and I feel like, there hasn't been too much Spider-Man content, but like video game content that's had any sort of depth to really touch on. Um,
Yeah.
I,
Not in a
I guess,
way that resonated with me, where
right. Well,
in the
yeah,
first game I was invested because I can relate to being a 20 mid 20s something, not focusing on the right things in your life and taking certain people for granted and possibly losing those people and making the choices to keep those people around. It's more than just the superhero story. It's like a young adult story that everybody I think can relate to. And
it's
Miles
good.
Morales had a really good one, good relatable story too, with uh, you know maybe your friends going in a direction that you can't follow, and how do you still maintain a connection with those people? And you know
Relatable.
yes, exactly, relatable. Yeah, there was a couple moments in the trailer where of two where Peter was kind of just like, oh, no, get him, I'm gonna kill him, and I'm like,
Here
that's
we go.
fine, just maybe let's I don't know. I'm holding like, I'm gonna enjoy the game no matter what, but
Right. No, I totally get where you're coming from. It can be like a big disaster. Like, oh no, I'm turning evil. Ah, let me beat this man up a little too hard.
yeah, what have I become?
Yeah, yeah. Nobody
Peter, what
wants
are you
to see
doing,
this.
man?
It almost makes you wonder. It's just like, if it is that, you know,
Yeah,
why do they keep doing this to themselves? Just don't do Venom in the symbiote suit. It's like, I don't even want to see it anymore. I don't care about it, right? I don't,
well, maybe you don't, but everybody else is expecting that. Everybody beat that first
because they
Marvel
always
Spider-Man and they're like, where's it at? Because, and I think that's because when
they
you
want they
do,
want that, and they want it to be good, right? I know a lot
yes,
of people like
yes,
Venom, and it is cool to just have uh I guess be able to introduce different sort of abilities and stuff like that through the symbiote suit.
yeah.
But
And
I don't
most of the
know.
time you can only
Not like
point,
there isn't tech that, okay, and that's like just like big Spider-Man canon. I know that.
mhm.
But there's probably something else in there they could always explore if they wanted to, right?
Yeah. And maybe there's new ways to explore that. And
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I think the problem is fans right now only really get to point to the comics as examples of good Venom. You
Right.
know, they don't get to enjoy playing a game where, and I could be wrong. I think Web of Shadows is a fan favorite as far as the video games go, but I don't think anybody really has like a good game where they explore Venom. So I think the second everybody beat Marvel Spider-Man 1, they were just like, two's going to be Venom, right? We got to do it. We got to finally set the bar high. Um, okay, well, that's Spider-Man. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. And I think that's all the news, new releases, whatever we're calling this corner this week. That's the that's that's the news.
The stuff we're looking forward to corner.
Duffa we are looking forward to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we've been playing.
How are you still enjoying Sea of Stars?
Hell yeah, I
Have
am.
you beat it yet?
No, I haven't. I
What's it
just,
like having a life? It must suck.
you know, gosh, all you want to do is play Sea of Stars, but you have a daughter and videos to edit and work to do and a class to complete homework assignments for your
Awful.
graduate degree. Um, you know, I've been playing here. It's great that it's on the Switch because I don't feel, like I don't have. I feel like I can always pick it up and play it no matter what,
Right.
even if it's because that's another thing we don't talk about is the Switch's sleep function
It's the
is
best.
one of its best features,
Yeah.
and it's still so much better than any other console I can think of.
There isn't a singular other console where I would ever, including PC, I think, where I would ever feel comfortable with the
Mm.
idea of not saving my game and exiting out of it, but just putting the console to sleep so I can just start back up. But I constantly
Yeah,
do that at all times on my Switch, right?
I do it with my PS5 as well, but there are times where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to play my PS5 for a couple days. I don't really feel comfortable doing that in case there's like a
Right.
power surge or
Yeah.
whatnot.
And
And
then
so
that's the whole thing.
usually
It's like even if there's a power surge,
it's on
you
its own
gotta
power source.
a long time to figure out what you're gonna do with your
Yes.
current run through of the game you're playing.
Well, it'll default to its battery too. It's not,
That's what I
it's
mean.
not
Yeah,
going to shut down.
it'll
Exactly.
stay alive in sleep mode for like over a day.
Yeah,
So it is fantastic.
it is. So that's helping, having a kid and all. I, where am I at? Last night I beat the Necromancer's dungeon. The, that was what is her? I forgot her name, but it's a Necromancer you get the Soul Stone from
Yeah,
for your boy, who I don't want to give too many details story wise of why you need that Soul Stone, but you do. And yeah, that game is just really, really freaking good. It just stays good every time I meet a new character or get to a new map and like continue on. I get excited. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I get to go to the pirate village now, which was incredible. Um, I get to I get to go with these pirates on this voyage to like a ghost island, pretty much.
yeah.
Awesome. And right now I'm on there, and it really has this feeling of progression through the world, not just this here and there and here and there. It's like you're actually going through and meeting new people and and accomplishing large scale tasks. And the combat is still good, although it's really started to stress me out because one, you don't know what the trigger for the action command is when you get a new skill. So you just
Right.
kind of have to test it out unless you want to go look online. But I've been testing it out and trying to figure out when I'm supposed to press it, how many times I'm supposed to press it. And sometimes it really builds up this pressure to get the timing right and when you miss it, it's like your stomach just drops.
What was always worse for me is defensively. Like when I
Yeah,
miss
yeah,
the
yeah,
defensive stuff, I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like this is easy, you know? It's
it
not
should be.
like like the most it's a very forgiving system, I think. It has pretty big windows, and in most cases you can like hold it
Yeah,
for a little bit before like the impact, right? Like, you know, half a second or whatever. But still,
yeah, yeah. Um,
uh
but they hit hard. Like the enemies in
yeah,
that game hit hard. You
yeah.
know, they'll take 75% of your health bar out with one attack, and it does help to use those action commands to defend against the damage.
Some things are, yeah, like you almost have to, or you'll be
Yeah.
one shot. Some things.
And
You
then
know,
you
and
have the whole system of preventing attacks from going off because,
yeah,
you know, enemies will predict or show like predictions of what they're going to use and how you can stop
yeah.
it by using certain magic attacks. Certain like they'll have a sword icon, a hammer icon, and then
Fire,
moon,
moon,
sun,
poison.
poison damage that you have to. And it's almost like
Spoilers arcane.
yeah, and it's almost like you're checking off the boxes to ensure that they can't use that
Yeah,
attack. And it really, really sucks when you realize that you forgot to account for something.
yeah.
Like, oh, I just used up the live mana on a character that didn't need it, and now this character that does need it has no live mana to pull from the field to stop this witch from using her attack. And I'm like,
So honestly though, that winds up being one of or wound up being like probably one of my favorite systems in that
hmm
game. I think it just adds such a good flavor to the RPG combat. Like I know it's relatively simple, but I mean sometimes it's honestly, especially as you get like more and more tools and more characters and stuff
yeah.
like that, you'll sit there at like a thing with like 8 bars and you're like, okay, I got 3 turns. How the F am I going to accomplish this? Right.
It
And
very much reminded me of the feeling I have when I play like a tactical grid-based combat game, like an Advance Wars or something. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I was too focused on this one thing, and I totally forgot about this mechanic, and this boss just hit me for a ton of damage because of
right.
that, or like, you know, I screwed myself.
And I think as you get like more and more tools, too, it feels maybe less. I mean, there's definitely moments where you're just like, oh, well, yeah, I
I
screwed that
can't do
up.
anything about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
but
there's
I mean,
moments
it's
you
not
can't do
like,
anything.
yeah, there are clearly some things where it's just like you're gonna get hit. Like you will
hmm
give you like a 6 panel thing, and it pops off in 1 turn, right? Like their
Yeah.
abilities pop
Just
off in 1 turn. Like there, I would say there's nothing you could do, but if you notice, um, again, like I guess more interesting interactions. The poison ninja chick that you just got,
hmm
she has a move that can delay turns.
It was totally a completely separate character from anybody I've been introduced to thus far.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
I just
Yeah, no.
fresh new character. I don't know
Fresh new
who
character didn't just show up. It just showed up out of the blue.
just showed up out of the blue. Doesn't look exactly like a different character that you've been
Yeah,
traveling with.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like the system. I love
yeah,
it. It's one of my favorites that I've encountered as well. I totally agree with you. It does it. You gotta really you learn the hard way
yeah.
quite a few times, and I mean like you'll be wiped because you didn't realize that you were supposed to be going. Like I died 3 times to that necromancer because I wasn't really computing what they were looking for. And I think what they were looking for was for me to focus on physical hits to constantly keep live mana loaded on the field because every single one of her attacks either raised something from the dead,
Right.
which, you know, you, if you want to survive, you have to be able to block all of those necromancy spells. And then the big one just unleashes hellfire on your entire group. And so you have to basically be constantly hitting her so you can always prevent those attacks. And it's a slow burn of a fight, and it's different from any fight that I had had up until that point. And so once I figured it out, it
Uh,
was like, oh, cool.
yeah, and from that point onward, maybe even a little bit depending on the fight, there are certain fights that just they don't really feel like they're dragging on, but they do drag on just because of the systems that are in play. A lot of times it
Mhm.
is more like, hey, I'm trying to prevent you from doing your attack than really just doing like
And I
as
can't even do
much
mine.
damage as I possibly can.
Yeah,
That being said, for her, I think it really is just like, if you use things like Moonerang and stuff to really just like clear out those areas, you can destroy her piles or whatever, her corpse piles.
that's true. But what I did, she didn't raise any. She raised two beasties the
Yeah,
whole fight
yeah, or you
because
can just keep stopping her. Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, clearly I can't let her do anything, so I'm just gonna focus on blocking her
Yeah.
attacks.
And it
Um,
is like an additional like resource management, right? Because you're like,
mhm,
it's like, okay, well, you got your mana, and then you do need to, of course, auto attack to get your mana back, but this also generates the little things that can really help you,
the
the
live
live
mana
mana.
orbs
Yeah. Which for those who haven't played, you basically can use those to imbue your auto attacks
with
with
magic.
with an element, or you can like empower your magic and stuff.
It's very
uh
Dragon Ball Z too. Like all their
yeah.
attacks are very like
Oh yeah.
Kamehameha.
Oh yeah, wait till you get like the ultimates.
I'm excited.
Yeah, those things are like crazy. I
And I also realized why the feel of the game, completely separate from battle, just running around, why it's so good and responsive. These are developers that made one of the best side-scrolling 2D platform or platformers of like the past couple years, The Messenger.
right.
They clearly brought that style over. And I realized that when I got the little grappling hook. Because even that thing
Yeah.
that you're just using to get across spaces and solve puzzles feels really responsive and great. And then
In
you
like
have
a
like your little,
pixel environment too, it's
yeah,
just like
it's awesome.
it
It's like, how
doesn't
did,
feel like, yeah, things similar things feel in games of that style at
well,
all.
they made the Sekiro grappling hook in a 2D
Yeah.
environment. It
And it's
just,
very like swingy,
yeah,
and
it yanks
just
you.
someone sat there and worked on that for like
Right.
months,
That's what I'm talking about. And then you have
months
like
and months.
the little gust thing that pushes blocks around. It all feels very good to play.
It does. It really does. Um, yeah, the whole game feels good to play, right? And then like puzzles are like just enough, you know?
Just enough.
There are some where you're like, okay, I'm not really sure what to do here, but it's not like screw this, I'm gonna go do something else, or yeah, like I'm gonna go play another game for a couple days because I can't figure out this puzzle, like
Yeah, it's
certain
not like that,
RPGs
man.
can do. No.
Hmm. The only thing that ever really messes with me is sometimes the depth is confusing, and it's such
Cool.
a beautiful game that it might just be my eyes and how I'm focusing, but sometimes like a platform doesn't look high up, it looks low, and then
Oh
I'll
yeah.
do something and I'll walk around and it's like perspective shifts and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize I could walk on that."
Yeah. I just kind of like tap A on everything and or
Yeah,
see
yeah.
if I can walk on
'Cause
anything
that's
really.
one thing is I don't remember another 2D RPG that lets you just climb ledges. How
Yeah.
many years have we been kept back from by ledges? Like
But
Pokemon.
like tiny, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's
you
that,
can't
yeah, really.
and here's like you can climb up a bunch of stuff and you can jump down anything you want. It doesn't it feels very unrestricted in that way, which is more fun. It's just it feels better.
It does. Plus you get a
Anyway,
grappling hook.
plus you get a grappling hook and every game needs a grappling hook.
And now you can open up every fight by just grappling
Yeah.
monsters. So you start off with a thing. The game
That's so
gives you
much better.
tools to
It's so
work
much
with.
better.
Yeah, it
Name
really
one
does.
quick, name one game that wouldn't be better with a grappling hook.
I can't.
Animal Crossing, better with a grappling hook.
I'm way better with a grappling hook. What do you mean?
Oh my God. Overcooked, so much better with a grappling hook.
I really need a grappling hook and armored core.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I can fly. Yes, I have boosters. Don't care. Still want a grappling
I
hook.
want to rip someone. I want to rip myself to someone
Yeah.
in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Sea of Stars. I'm still playing it. I'm definitely going to beat that game. I have to. Hopefully before
You
Spider-Man
do have a
comes out.
grappling hook in Lies of P.
Of course you do. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
I mean, that's a Souls like.
Yeah.
That's a Sekiro like. It's
Yeah.
actually
It's
more of a Bloodborne like, but
yeah, kind of. Basically. I would say yeah, it's more Bloodborne than anything, I think.
that's how it seems.
With flavors of just everything from software, right?
Yeah. Perfect time for a segue.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Tell us about Lies of P.
So I've been
And
playing Lies of
Quinn.
P. Yeah. I was telling you a little bit about this.
Don't tell
For
them.
one,
We never talk outside the podcast. I promise.
yeah, no, I never. Well, we try not to these days, just because it's like save it for the cast. I One thing since the demo, right? Like especially if you played the demo and you were kind of like on the fence. Like for me, I think a lot of things they felt like okay, but it definitely lacked that from software polish.
Mhm.
Which no, I mean they definitely polished the heck out of the game, right? It feels much better.
They
Um,
used the time before launch
yeah,
for the right
to
reasons.
fine
Fine
tune the
tune.
things they needed to do.
That's good.
It's even like if you didn't tell me that uh or if you told me it was a From Software's game, right? I would believe you.
Mm,
Like it kind of it feels very much so on that level to me,
yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Well, because that's
Uh
the age-old question since Demon Souls, or I guess probably Dark Souls 1 was really what put them on the map as far as the Souls like, was that all these clones came out, but none of them ever felt up to snuff
no.
and, didn't quite hit that magic that Dark
I
Souls.
feel like yeah, they kind of missed out on a lot of the things that make Dark Soul or From Software's Souls like games a entertaining, you know,
Yeah.
and then b just um I guess great games, right? Uh
Like pulling you to continue investigating and
yeah,
really wanting to beat that horrible boss that's like kicking
yeah,
your ass. Like
yeah.
you gotta get past it.
And that's anything from, I feel like for me, it not necessarily build diversity, but weapon diversity and cool and interesting sort of weapons. A lot of Dark Souls really miss out on that.
Mhm.
Sorry, Souls like really miss out on that. They kind of just have like three or even two weapons, right? And it's more just like,
They don't
hey,
feel that
play
different.
yeah. Don't get me wrong, like Sekiro, you don't get anything, and that game's fantastic, but
Well, they give you sub weapons and
yeah,
useful gadgets and stuff.
right. And that's kind of like not the point. And you get that early on what Sekiro is,
Mm-hmm.
it's its own thing, you know? It's
Yeah.
not a Souls
Yeah.
like where these other games, yeah, I mean they clearly try to capture that formula and they miss the mark. This does not, you
That's
know?
great.
I've been enjoying playing this game. I've been getting, my butt kicked relentlessly, just relentlessly. But I keep going back. Like I keep going back
Yeah.
and going back. Like there was one boss that I died to. Uh, I don't know, 20 something times at least. At least.
Yeah, I've heard the difficulty is It's definitely showed up. That
Yeah,
was no
it
question,
does. Yeah, and
which
I
I
feel
wasn't
like
sure.
at first I was kind of like I don't know. I guess it's like right on. I feel like it's right on that same level. Um,
Mhm.
and in certain instances it can feel maybe even a little bit more polished, and then other things like maybe not so much. So it's almost like directly comparable. I think maybe the only thing, if we're looking at Elden Ring and how expansive of a world that is, this does feel a lot more narrowed in.
Mhm.
I think they do a good job at creating the illusion of space, though, in like a
Okay. Yeah.
very, actually, like a very I'm in Neo with here in a very good way, because you'll go into a particular area, you'll think, this is going to be huge. I'm going to be in here forever, right? And it just winds up like just enough cores in the boss fight, and you're like, I'm fine, right? Like I'm fine with the pacing that just happened. And of course the world just feels very overly connected, right?
Mhm.
Very like just Dark Souls, uh definitely like Dark Souls 2 and 3-esque, which I really enjoy. Um and it does paint a picture of this steampunk punk sort of world that's
Hellscape.
gone to shit. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
It's like so much worse than you think. It's not just the puppets. Like there's way more stuff going on.
I was
Uh
watching someone play last night, and they used a term that I never would have imagined to describe what the puppets were doing to humans, and it was mulching.
yeah, they definitely mulch a lot for sure.
It was just like,
For sure.
"Oh, that's unpleasant."
Yeah.
That's not a good word when you're talking about organic matter.
Yeah, no, but yeah, they really like to use that one. It's not it's quite a few times in the game you'll just see a puppet just bashing on a dead body.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
just juice someone.
Right. But it is really, really fun. I think it I don't know if it does too much to like set itself apart
Mhm.
from the Soul series. And I mean that's gonna be extremely hard to do. I think
Yeah,
they did the right thing here, being like, okay, well, like this is a Souls like game, so we're gonna make it like a Souls game.
they
Uh
also picked a
Not
setting.
diversified too much.
Right. They also picked a setting that people were hungry for
Yeah,
with the absence of a remastered or part 2 for Bloodborne. It's
right.
like people clearly want to explore this, steampunk, gothic, Victorian setting
Yeah.
more. Like, where is it? And
And I like it here too. Right. I think they did a good job.
I like it here.
Yeah. It's awful. There's killer
There's
puppets and
humans
mutant
being mulched.
creatures, and oh my god.
Would you
There's
like to watch Jeffrey become a cantaloupe juice?
did I mention you shouldn't play this game, right? Like if you have any sort of fear of puppets, my god, they're just
Well,
like, I'm like, wow, this is creepy to me. So,
I've been dealing with it for most of my
yeah.
life. Maybe
Well, and you played Resident Evil Village, right? And that has some of the worst puppet moments in any game ever.
uh,
Uh
metaphorical unborn babies.
yeah, that's terrifying. It's just absolutely terrifying moment in that game.
I was surprised to hear that in Resident Evil 8, your FU moment was the warehouse. So
Yeah, yeah,
we all know Matt needs to be far away from any type of machinery-based warehouse in the future.
I don't know what I saw as a child that has just made me like just not okay with any sort of mechanical abominations, right?
Now that I think about it, my
Yeah,
grandfather brought me on a trip to a sawmill and oh god.
guard me for life. Uh yeah, I don't
That
know.
poor
I don't know.
worker.
But hey, I can do my puppets, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not avoiding it because hell, I could install it right here on my
Yeah,
computer because I have Game Pass.
yeah. Also,
It's
the
on Game
game
Pass.
runs fantastically.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I think I will. I think I don't want to do that to Sea of Stars. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to pop anything new in because I'm afraid to get distracted and
No,
pulled in a
beat
different
Sea of
direction.
Stars.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it is not that long of a game, right? I'm
No,
glad
it's
they're
good to
actually
hear.
making an expansion. It's I would say it's somewhat long enough. Maybe it's a lot shorter than your typical RPG experience, but again, clearly the entire game is meant to be not streamlined in an RPG sense, but um and not even simplified, but just relaxed, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like you should just enjoy this
It
and
doesn't seem
not,
like it's going to overstay its welcome.
yeah. No, it doesn't.
And I don't want that to sound reductive because it's a really good game and it's one of the best 2D RPGs I've played in a very long time. But I think inherently that genre overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
Like just even the best ones, it's like at the 70-hour mark, you're like, Jesus Christ, can we wrap it up? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm talking about Final Fantasy 16 that way right now, and I love that game. But
Right.
yeah. Well, cool. I'm sure I will play this eventually, but with that and then Spider-Man coming up, and yeah, I mean, the only other game I played this weekend was Tony Hawk 1 and 2 because that game is never being uninstalled from my PlayStation because I like to pick it up every now and then and do some sick tricks.
That's what's up. I haven't played those remakes yet. But if anything, I would get it on my PlayStation. I'm pretty sure it's on the Epic Store last time I checked. So
I thought it was maybe you need to play those games. Those are
yeah.
incredible. um, cool. And I think I might actually check out Super Mario Bros. Wonder because that game just looks fun and enticing to me. You
I
get to
need
turn
a
into an elephant.
That is pretty cool.
You know how I feel about my elephants. Anyway,
Do you like elephants?
I love
Is elephants your
elephants.
thing?
Yeah,
I actually didn't know that.
I have multiple over there on my
I don't think
display.
I've ever known that.
It's my favorite animal. I know your favorite animal, you frog-faced bastard.
Yeah, well,
We'll be right back.
that's easy.
No, I probably just talk so much about pirates that
Yeah, I,
the elephant conversation hasn't come up.
no, not really.
Maybe if you went to the zoo with me.
I You never asked.
June 17th, no. Um, all right. Well, do you have anything else? I'm feeling like it's going to be short and sweet today.
Yeah, I mean it's not really that short, right?
No, we've probably been
Closing
talking for a lot
notes.
longer.
I guess I don't there's like a lot of like little things that I could sit there and talk about Liza P, but maybe I won't do that today. The weapon system's interesting, you know. Short. Uh well, I'll keep it short. I do really like the maybe the defensive options, right? Because there's the typical you can roll or dodge out of the way with iframes and everything like that. But there's also the parry system that is in place, which is great. And if you perfectly time a parry, you don't take any damage, and you'll deal kind of like stagger damage to them. So that's kind of like one of the best ways to deal with bosses and stuff like that.
So does it feel unique compared to like
Yeah,
Sekiro or Bloodborne with like a visceral
yeah,
attack?
for the most part, because it seems more like you maybe more in line with like Sekiro, and I guess Bloodborne's kind of that way too, but Bloodborne feels like you had to be extremely precise, and
Mm,
then you still use ammo and stuff like that for that. So it's kind of like a
yeah.
trade-offs and resource management. Sekiro is great. Sekiro, that is
You have to
that's what
use
you
it.
do. Yeah.
You have to use it.
And of course, luckily they let you like parry back to back, so
Oh, okay.
you can kind of not in this. In Sekiro, you can
Sekiro,
kind of
yeah.
just
Bing bang
do
bang
that.
bang. Yeah.
Yeah, and that allows you
I
to kind of uh parry,
This
and
is
of
this is
course you would.
closer to Bloodborne, but not as
Yeah.
punishing, I guess, to parry.
Yeah, it's well, and for one, if you block, you will take damage. If you just block, you'll take damage.
Oh, okay.
The strength-based weapons have higher damage reduction, and then when you attack afterwards, there's a set period of time where you can get your health back. So there's just like a lot of different
Mm,
options available to you. I would just say
yeah.
unless maybe if like you're a dex build, the of course the perfect parry seems like one of your best options because of how quickly you can build up their stagger bar with that, which
Mhm.
allows you to do like a big like cinematic attack sort of thing. So it
Neat.
feels very good, I think, but no, it's not mandatory, right? Like I don't think so at all. I think you can just dodge everything or even block everything, especially if you have a weapon with like a higher block rate.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's cool.
that makes sense. I guess my last one I can think of is the story engaging? Is it good or is it all right?
It is somewhat on a little bit more narrative driven than your average like Dark
Hmm.
Souls title, but maybe more so on that.
I think that's a
It's engaging and like enough. It's more like there is a narrative, but it's more environmental storytelling, which is good.
okay.
Which I also think they just looked at like, okay, well, like yes, one of the I would say one of the great things that From Software is or one of the things that From Software is good at is environmental storytelling,
Hmm.
right? But just because we're making a Souls game doesn't mean it has to be us trying to completely replicate that because we probably will mess it up,
Hmm.
like other games. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a flip of the coin complete uh narrative experience. Somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, because I mean, well, that's a very FromSoft thing is to almost avoid any direct storytelling whatsoever.
Right.
Um, Sekiro and Elden Ring kind of being the outliers in that, but still
Yeah.
nowhere near as much as a your average game. So I think I was expecting more emphasis on story, but
Yeah.
not
Well,
for
this is
me.
like your Pinocchio, right? So you're Geppetto's puppet and puppet's gone crazy and you get brought to life or whatever, woken up, I guess. And
Hmm.
so, you're kind of just going through and helping your dad being a real boy,
Helping your dad. What's that?
who I think is probably evil. I mean, that's
Oh,
a complete guess here, but if I called it,
I mean, you gotta think with the implications.
yeah,
It's the implication. Cool. Well, awesome. That in a nutshell is, let's see, let's go back here. What did we discuss today? Final Fantasy Rebirth. In our anticipatory corner, we'll find a name.
anticipatory.
We also talked about Marvel Spider-Man 2. I gave my updated impressions on Sea of Stars, and Matt dove into Lies of P for the first time. Well, technically, because we did the demo
Yeah.
coverage. But yeah, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a nice weekend, week, whatever. Please go like our videos, follow our channels, anything you can, any engagement at all would be so appreciated. Tell your friends. And send your questions to thenerdinggrounds@gmail.com and we will read them on this here podcast. And yeah, take care of yourself. Be nice to people. Bye.
Hey.